Um, I'm not really sure how to start this video. Hello to everybody that is subscribed to me. This is the first video I've attempted to film in over a year. If you're brand new to my channel, then that's the tea. I thought long and hard about if I actually wanted to make this video or not, because I honestly thought I was never coming back to YouTube. But as things continued to happen over the course of the past year, and today I'm especially having an absolutely horrible day for my family, so I've decided that now's the time to talk about it. Over the past year, my heart has been so heavy, and everything about me has just felt so blocked and miserable, and I just can't take it anymore. So I need to release it out into the world, everything that has happened to me that has made 2019 the worst year of my life. And I don't want anyone to think that this is just me having a pity party, because I will admit that 2019 brought with it a lot of great memories and really strengthened the bonds between me and my family members and my friends. And I just had so much fun at other times, but the year overall has definitely been the most traumatizing and soul-crushing year I think I've ever experienced. And you know, I've had in the past, I come out of an emotionally abusive relationship, I've had a childhood of bullying, I've had a lot of stuff go on, and nothing beats this year. Like, when I say this is the worst year of my life, I'm not kidding. So I just wanted to let this be therapeutic in a way and just talk about it and get it out there, hoping that the weight will be lifted and that I can feel 10 times better about carrying on. But I also wanted to do this for other people watching as well, because I know especially at the holiday time things can get really depressing, and especially those struggling with mental illness, it can be a pretty sad time. If you look back on the year, you might feel like you didn't accomplish much. Maybe bad things happened to you too. And you know, you see all those memes that are like, well, 2019 was awful, and it's like, me in January, so excited, me in December, what the hell was that? And I feel like there's just so many other people that if you're struggling with this year, like this decade really went out in an awful way for you, I want you to know that you're not alone. And I too had a really awful year, and I want to show you that, you know, you're not the only one. I think the best thing for me to do is go in chronological order. It's gonna be very weird because some of the things that happen later on probably aren't as bad as the things that happened before it, but I just want to be able to get everything off my chest because so much is weighing me down, and I just need to really make sense of just why this year was so bad for me, and like how my luck just seems so awful. So without further ado, this is what happened in my 2019. So going into the new year, I had a lot of hope. Previously, I was working at what I considered to be my dream company, and I had acquired a new role in the company, and I was so excited. Felt like I was going to do such great things. Amidst this time, and actually for the past previous years, I had been dealing with mental illness. This is something that I've been very vocal about on my channel before, but I've never gone into too much detail. Basically, I had issues with depression and social anxiety that sometimes made it hard to function for me, but overall, I just felt so good about where I stood with life, and I was very hopeful for the new year. So January comes around, and you know, I'm just carrying on with life. But what I ended up finding was that my mental health was deteriorating. It was getting worse. My sleeping habits, which weren't that great before, really plummeted. So it would be like I would pass out on my bed, wake up at 4 in the morning, and you know, just struggle to properly go back to sleep. And I was doing this basically every night. Uber Eats every night for dinner. You know, my skin was starting to look awful and I didn't know how best to take care of it. You know me, I love my makeup, I love straightening my hair and like being like, ooh, who's that? But I just stopped taking care of myself. And it made me feel like really ugly too, and I just was like this walking shell of a person, and it really wasn't a good feeling. But because I was dealing with so much, what I felt was like my depression was affecting my focus at work. So sometimes I would just sit there and stare at the screen. I would go to start to do something, but I felt like I couldn't do it, and then switch my attention to something else. And it really sucked because I felt very bad about it. Like, I wanted to do my work. I was so motivated. I was so excited for the future. And I was just like, why can't I make myself work? Like, I feel so miserable enough. Why can't I just do this one thing to make me feel better? And it didn't really help either that my job was a little bit directionless. It was a little bit of everything. I felt very overwhelmed in general. And so all of these things clashing together, I wasn't really in a good spot, but I wasn't ready to admit it yet, because in the past, I'd always hoped that when my mental health got bad, that circumstances would change and therefore it would be better. And that is not how it works, people, that you have to deal with it. So I was feeling like more self-conscious about my work every day, every week, every month. I was like, I can't live like this. What's going on? But I didn't do anything about it. And then before I move forward with this, I just want to say a couple things. So the company that I'm talking about in terms of like this part of the story, I don't want to name them, and I'm going to probably make some details a little more vague as not to reveal who they are and what they do. I also want to point out that I'm going to be referring to my manager a lot, and whether or not she is watching this video or not, I just want to say that, like, I will not be naming her, because even though some people have told me she doesn't deserve it, sorry, she's someone that I still care about, and I looked up to her for so long, and the idea of getting to work with her brought me so much joy. And I don't wish her any harm at all, because I know she's dealt with her own stuff in her life, and I just need to speak my truth. So if she or anyone else comes across this and knows who I'm talking about, I just need to say everything that has been weighing me down, and this isn't meant to personally attack anyone or the company that I was previously employed at. So spoiler alert, we'll get to that soon. So flash forward to about May, it had gotten pretty bad, and my manager had started to notice. So we went for a walk outside. So she's like, what's going on with you? And at that moment, I broke down and I just started sobbing, and I admitted to her that my mental health was so bad and it was affecting my job performance. So I was having trouble working, and it was because, like, I felt blocked, I felt unmotivated. Not really unmotivated that, like, I didn't want to do anything. It was just like when I sat down, I couldn't do the things, even though at the back of my heart, at the back of my mind and in my heart and in my soul, I'm like, this is my life's purpose. And so I just let her know everything, like, this is what's affecting me. I feel depressed, I feel socially anxious, I'm not taking care of myself, and it's definitely taking over my life. So everything that is happening to me is because of this. And she, tried to say that, like, she was there for me and stuff, and she's like, oh, I've dealt with my own things too. I'm not going to say what those were, but if you knew what they were, you would know that we weren't experiencing the same things at all. And so she just said, okay, well, like, let's work on this, because, we should be working on improving your performance. And I was like, absolutely, like, I don't want to leave this company. And so we started having one-on-ones and really tried to work on me showing that, like, I was capable of doing what I was meant to be doing. But what I really want everyone to know is that during this time, I was heavily depressed, and a lot of people that might have suffered from depression in the past, or it's something that they still struggle with, when you are in that mindset, you don't have the strength and the willpower to stand up for yourself. So when something's come up in the rest of the story and you're like, well, why didn't you just say something? Why didn't you fight it? Your depression literally convinces you that you can't. So my response to everything was to just try to keep my job because I loved it so much, or I thought I loved it so much. So we would be in one-on-one meetings and we would be talking about like things I can do, things that will help. But she started saying things to me like, okay, so you're dealing with your mental health on the side, so what do you think is impacting your lack of focus? Why do you think you procrastinate? And it was like, I tried to tell her that, you know, my mental health was affecting everything, but she started treating it as if like I was dealing with this, so I was sad, but there's other problems we had to get to. And she started talking about like how my fear, like my desire for perfection was causing me to procrastinate and just other things like that. And deep down I knew like that wasn't true and that wasn't me. And she was talking about moments where like I feel like you do this and then you spiral, and it's like none of this is me. But deep down I was like, she is the person that I need to see that I'm capable so that I can keep my job. So I was like always like, yeah, I'll do this and I'll work on this and blah 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 and all that stuff. And then one day I'm sitting at my desk and I get this document sent to me over Google Docs, and it's from the head of my department, and it's called Project Phoenix. And I was like, that sounds like a cool thing, and it brightened my spirits temporarily because I was like, this is something that might inspire me as I'm trying to fix all these things. And I opened up the document, and it was a document about me and what they were doing with me to try and help me. I guess help me, I'm going to say. And at the very top, it said something about firing is only used as a last resort. So I knew things were really serious. Immediately when they realized I was in there because it was an accident, they revoked my access to the document and asked me to come speak to them. So that's when, trying to keep this shorter, we talked about how my job was now going to have a more narrow focus, and you know, just like general stuff about like how they were really sorry and like they want to show me support, but like my manager's mental health was also important. And I just remember crying, and they let me go home early, and I felt absolutely miserable, but I was so determined, like I need this job still. And so the next month and a bit was basically all about me trying to put in work and show that I can do this. But as my manager kept giving me more feedback and saying things and just like doing things with body language and stuff, I really started to feel like I was a failure. I wasn't good enough. This is so hard. And it was really starting to show when I went home too. So one night actually my roommate woke up from me in the living room having a panic attack, and I've never had a panic attack in my life. So she had to come calm me down, and yeah, that was actually a really rough night. And it was a lot of me crying at home a lot and being stressed out at home a lot because of this job. And my roommate was trying to be so supportive the whole time, like, you can do this, like, you're amazing, like, people love you at this job, like, you're gonna do it. During this time too, I knew what was going to help my job performance the most was to actually start working on my mental health. So in the past, even though I knew what I was suffering from, I never sought help for it. So I actually started going to a counselor. I went for 3 appointments with them, and I finally found a GP, so a doctor in the city, who was able to put me on 10 milligrams of Cipralex. So with that and the counseling and the working hard at work, things greatly improved. and I started to feel more in control again. I felt like everybody valued my contributions, and I just felt like I'm on top of things. I own things. And so I was like, I did it. And, you know, my manager and the head of my department bought me a present, and everybody was just so happy. Like, yes, I did the thing. It's okay. I'm working on my mental health. I'm so much happier. Things are greater. But deep down, things were not better, and I think I fell into the trap of just believing they were because of circumstances. So, being on 10 milligrams of Cipralex, and which is an antidepressant, in case anyone didn't know that. And, you know, just as life started to throw itself at me again, I crashed. So it was literally like I was doing this, and then I just went, like, back to exactly how I was. I couldn't focus on my work again. I felt sad. I felt miserable, not taking care of myself. Literally could not make myself go to sleep at night, and then passing out and just feeling gross. And it happened to me again, but I was trying to show like, oh no, I'm still fine. I'm still able to do my job. But my manager, I think, started to have her own opinions on what was happening. And again, like, I've never sought closure with her. I've never had like final in-depth conversations about this. So I don't know what her full mentality or perception of the situation was, but I really started to feel like attacked in a way. Like, she was saying like, what's wrong with your memory? Like, what are you doing to work on your memory? What are you doing to work on your focus? And it really felt like she didn't get it anymore. Like, she just was like, it felt like she was like, these are qualities of a bad employee as opposed to qualities of somebody who has severe depression. And I just wanted to show that everything was fine and that I could do this job. And I was like, oh, I'll just like download some memory apps and stuff. And like, you know, I'm fine. I'm just working on this and blah, 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 blah. But I felt defeated. Again, like with depression, it's hard to stand up for yourself and tell people the truth because you just are convinced you can't. So I didn't say the things I think I should have said, and I didn't like do what I should have done to make what I was feeling more known to her and HR and stuff like that. And so after the Labor Day long weekend, I came back to work, and I worked about 6 hours that day. And then I got called to a room, and I was told that because my job performance had not improved, I was being let go. And that was the worst moment of my life. This job had been my livelihood. It was everything I had ever wanted while I was in school. And to watch it slip away from you in that instant, I had no idea what I was going to do. I just felt so lost, and I hadn't even left the building yet. They had brought in a counselor to speak to me before I left. And, you know, she was saying some kind of nice things to me, but at one point she was like, do you live in an apartment building? And I was like, yeah. And she just goes, what floor? And I was like, the 33rd. And then she asked me, was I thinking about like going home? And, you know, and I said no, and I kind of laughed like, oh, no, I'm not that sad. But I was just like, this person is here to make sure that, like, if I suddenly go home and do jump off my balcony, that my family can't sue the company. And that has bothered me for a really long time. Because, like, I thought, like, here's this nice thing they're doing at least, but it was like, it's a liability. They're trying to make sure that their backs are covered. So after speaking with her, I basically had my cardboard box leaving the office moment where I had all my things thrown into a box, and I walked out. And it was so weird because my manager was like rubbing my shoulders, and she was trying to tell me like, it's okay, you're so resilient, you're smart, you're creative, you're going to get past this. But I was just like, I was thankful for her in that moment. At the same time, there was a part of me that was like, you are the one that wants this, and I felt betrayed, even though, like I said, if my depression hadn't been so bad, maybe I could have spoken up more. But I just felt like, why couldn't you see what was happening to me? And I just, yeah. To make matters worse, my birthday was less than a week away. So now heading into even more territory with my year, because we're not done yet. There's still lots more. So yeah, obviously that was a really sad day. I called my mom crying. I FaceTime audioed only. I didn't want her to see my face, and I was like, I don't want to tell you what happened to me. I made her tell the rest of my family because I didn't have it in me. It was not good. You feel like a failure when that happens to you. It's that I can't even describe it, because it's just like, why, how am I supposed to move past this when that entire role was my livelihood? And so my sister came to my apartment the next day, and she helped me clean, and like we did some things, and I started to feel a little more hopeful, like this is gonna be okay. A few days later, I actually did a boudoir shoot, which was supposed to be my birthday gift to myself because it was my 25th birthday and I felt like an ogre instead of a hot woman, so that's why I did that. And then I went out for drinks and dinner with a bunch of my friends, and it was just a great night. And like, because of my birthday and things going on, I was like, things will get better. Things will get better. I can do lots with my time and stuff. And then I kind of got into the job hunt side of this story. And that's when I realized that layoff PTSD is actually a very real thing. Because it was like, I kept trying to find jobs to apply for, but it was just so many things. Like, I don't feel good about this. I feel like I would start this job and get stressed out and I'd get in trouble. And I just like had all these flashbacks of like messages over Slack and, just not feeling good enough and feeling worthless. And I was like, if I apply for this job, this is going to happen to me again here. And if I apply for this one, this is going to happen to me again here. Maybe I could do this one, but I absolutely don't like what this company does. And I'll probably just hate my life because I'm doing a job that I hate. And it was a really depressing time, just knowing I thought I had what was the best and that I might not get it again. And so I just was like sleeping in bed pretty late, not eating very well still. I didn't want to really do anything, so I fell way behind on all my TV shows that I like to watch. I stopped reading. I still can't write it. I just could not make myself write anything. And I knew this was like time, like, you don't normally get a chunk of time that you don't have to work, but I just like did nothing. It was just depressed Karen wandering around, wondering if she'd ever find a job again. And during this time, I was like, I need to get away from the city. I need a break from job hunting. And so I went to visit my mom at her new house, which is where I am right now, because I know this background does not look familiar to those that have been watching me. She had actually moved this past year from my, not childhood home, but like where I spent my teen years and like young adulthood. And that was pretty sad in itself too, but I knew that she was moving on to better things and that living in the same city as the rest of my family was going to be really good for her. She'd have her childhood best friend close by, and so I was like, let me go visit her for a week and hang out with her and spend time with her, and that'll hopefully make me feel 10 times better. And the whole week she was in pain. She had injured herself twice in the process of moving, so we thought it was something to do with that, and we kept actually saying like, go get yourself checked out, go to Emerge. Obviously you need another opinion, because she had chiropractors give her an opinion. And finally she did. And if you've watched some of my videos in the past, I believe I've mentioned that my mom was a breast cancer survivor. And I think you can tell where the story is going now. So my mom's diagnosis of 2B breast cancer was then changed to stage 4 cancer, and it had spread to her bones. So like her hip bone, part of her spine, a lot of stuff in that lower area, and her liver. And that just ruined me and my family. Because I thought this was a worry of the past. And like, as much as like losing your dream job sucks, losing your mom is so much worse. And that's my greatest fear. And just the fact that she had to go through this again, and it's so much worse this time. I didn't know what to believe. I felt like she was gonna die. And so I tried to stay positive for her, but every day it just got so much worse. I would stay in bed till like 3 p.m. and I was so miserable. Like, I couldn't do anything for myself. And I just didn't know what to do at that point. Yeah. It was really hard. It was the hardest thing. And it was just like, I knew I needed more help, because obviously like what I had done in the past wasn't enough. So I ended up going back to my doctor, and she increased my Cipralex to 20 milligrams. And to deal with my mom, I was also put on Wellbutrin, which is a medication for depressive moods that some people use either by itself or combined with an antidepressant. So she allowed me to go on a second one to try and help with everything. And my mom was in palliative care, and it just was so scary. And it was one of those moments where I was like, why is all of this happening? Why was I dealt both of these things at once? And so that happened. And yeah, I didn't understand why. And I was like, okay, my money's gonna run out soon. So despite how I feel, I need to get back on track. So my medication was increased, and I started going to a psychologist who has really been a help. I think she gets me. And, you know, just being able to talk about everything that I'm dealing with and validate my feelings and talk about things like manifestation and, you know, just meditating and asking for things. And I think just having someone to talk to besides my friends and family has really helped and added to my perspective on things. So despite how bad it's gotten with my mom, deep down I was like, everything's gonna be okay. So then later on, about a month later, I got another job, and it was like one of my worries was over. My friend had actually referred me to her company right when everything had happened, and they finally reached out to me, and they're like, we'd love to meet you, we'd love to talk to you. And that interview went so well, and I knew I was going to start a job that I was actually like, there's so much potential here, and I'm so grateful that at least something is happening. And it was so much proof to me that things were going to get better. My year still hasn't quite gotten better though. So that happened, and you know, my mom eventually came out of the hospital and was being looked after here at her house. But so many weird things just keep happening to me, like super clumsy. You know, I went to put something on an old bookshelf me and my roommate have, and the entire thing collapsed, and 2 shelves and a bunch of plates and everything hit my head. Just like really weird stuff. And I was like, why? Why do things keep happening to me? And this is going to sound so ridiculously stupid, but I just want to paint a picture of how emotional I was during this whole thing. I was on Facebook one day, and I realized that a guy I had a huge crush on like 3 years ago deleted me, and he unfollowed me on Instagram too. And I think, like, normally, if someone from your past unfollows you, it's just like, oh, okay, we don't talk anymore. They're not interested in me. And that's fine. Like, have a good life. But I think just because of it being someone that I felt was, like, the one that got away, and I was always like, you know, would he like me? I don't really know. Just seeing that he did that actually made me really emotional. So my roommate found me crying in our living room, and she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't know. But it just, because everything was going on and I kept hurting myself and like my mom and just job stuff, seeing that, you know, that was going on, and I guess my love life too, it just like, I was just like, why is everything happening to me? Like, why? And then I'm pretty sure a few weeks after that, I saw him with a friend on the subway, and I don't think he saw me, but I was just like, I'm gonna go home and cry to the Joker soundtrack because this is my mood right now. And, it just, like, so many things, like, when they happen like that, when you're dealing with big things, it's just like the world hates you, and that's what you honestly feel like. And I know, like, not to believe things like the world is against me, but it was like, I don't understand why so many bad things keep happening. So the good news was my mom actually got out of the hospital, as I said, and she was at home, and so, like, she was doing really well, moving around by herself a bit, you know, all that stuff, and so, like, felt a lot better there. And then, one of my best friends, like someone I would consider one of my best friends, stopped talking to me. So this was heading into a work retreat that I was going on. I sent her a couple text messages, which received no replies. And then I was like, that's really unlike her. So I sent her a message over Twitter saying, hey, just want to make sure you're getting my messages. Hope you're okay. And I started to think maybe she was really stressed out over some things because I knew she was moving and things like that. Work was kind of stressful. And then I saw that she was on Twitter liking things and retweeting things, but she had not opened my messages. And so I tried once more over Facebook Messenger, wouldn't open those either. So I don't know what that was about, but something to add to my list of things that happened to me in 2019 is I lost one of my best friends for absolutely no reason. I was ghosted. And who knows, maybe she'll watch this video and it'll be something lesser than that. She'll be like, you idiot, this is what I was dealing with. But, like, I had just really hoped that if she was upset with me for some reason, she'd be an adult and tell me, or if she just wanted space, because I know what I was going through was so heavy. If she just needed some space to deal with her own things, I would have totally gotten that. It's just the fact that she said nothing. Like, she just disappeared out of my life. And so I was really upset about that, but as I looked at it more, as much as I'd love to have her come back and say, like, I'm sorry, like, let's go for coffee and stuff like that, I have some amazing friends, and if the case is she doesn't want to speak to me anymore, then she's just not coming into 2020 with me. That's the thing. But I did stress out about that while it was happening in real time for quite a bit. So I was dealing with that. And then, but on the plus side, you know, I had so much fun on my work retreat. I'm so passionate about the stuff my company is going to be doing. I was starting to feel a lot happier. And then it dawned on me that my lack of focus issues were coming back, and I would sit there and try to do my work every day, which, by the way, I have a remote job. I don't work in an office. I would sit there and try and do my work every day, and it's like I can't focus. I can't make myself do my work. Like, it physically hurts, and I'm just like, I'm feeling better and more motivated. Why is this happening to me? And then it dawned on me after I saw an article by chance that I might have adult ADHD, and this potentially might have been what was happening to me the whole time. So I just broke down, knowing like how many years in school I struggled to get my work done even though I really wanted it done, and how slow I am to do things, how when I try to write my books I can't do it because I just can't make myself write. And that actually really bothered me, and it really hurt me, because I was like, why did it take me so long to realize this, and how do I fix this? Because this is going to impact not only my new job, but the rest of my life, and I can't deal with this. So I went to my psychologist, so she confirmed from a questionnaire that I probably sit on the spectrum, and she wrote a recommendation for a medication to take to my doctor, and I did that. And my doctor said that she won't prescribe it to me. She's like, I don't diagnose ADHD, and I want you to have an official diagnosis before you start medication. Which I totally understand, and I wouldn't want to be on something that I shouldn't be on, especially since I'm already on 2 medications, and I don't know how they would even react with each other. But, it sucks, guys. It really sucks. But she did refer me to a psychiatrist, so that is happening. But anyone that lives in Ontario knows it is extremely difficult to get into a psychiatrist. You might get referred, but it might take a really long time before you actually get to see them, because there's so few. And so I'm in this moment of panic where it's like, I want to do all these things, but I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do them. So after this, I got on the train. That's another thing that happened to me. I got on the train to come here for the Christmas holidays, which I was like, yes, this is my break. Time to get away from all the bad stuff that's happening. And I fell getting onto the train and hurt my knee, because apparently I haven't hurt myself enough times this year. I haven't hurt enough body parts. Just bash the knee too, why not? So I'm like, this is it. I need this to be done. I need to just like relax and head into 2020 in good spirits. So I came here for 2 weeks, or I'm still at the beginning of that 2-week period, to spend time with my mom and see my family for the Christmas holidays. And my mom just today was sent back to the hospital. She knew something was wrong, and she called for me in the middle of the night and said something was wrong. So my grandma took her to the hospital, and she has 2 pulmonary embolisms. So they're monitoring her right now. And I don't know what the update from this is going to be. Hopefully it's good, because they caught it in time, but that has been my year. It's just been non-stop messiness after messiness, problems with work, problems with family, problems with friends, problems with, self-esteem, especially seeing how I cried over Facebook stuff, because that's freaking stupid. But, I don't even know what to say at this point. That's just been so much to unload. I've been trying to think more positively, because I don't want to be stuck in this mentality for 2020 either. This decade alone has had some of the worst moments of my life. And this year, as a complete whole, has just been god-awful. And I want to believe that 2020 is not only a new year, but a new decade that's going to bring with it a fresh start and new possibilities, and to just see everything only go up from here. So I'm preparing to really work on self-care and really try and better myself, so I can start to do the things I really want to do. But as shitty as a lot of things are right now, I have so much hope, like more hope than I've had leading up to now, and I want to believe that everything's going to be fine, and despite the year that I've had, everything will get better. And I hope that for anyone that actually is still watching, that you feel that it'll get better for you too. If you're still here, I thank you so much for watching this. I actually feel a lot better now that I've said what I needed to say. Again, for anyone that was vaguely mentioned in this video, I don't want any harm to come to them. I don't want people to like figure out who these people are. I just needed to say what I needed to say, and I don't want any drama. I don't want any harm to come to anyone. I just want what's best for everyone, for me, for my family, for my friends. I really hope for those that are still watching, you have an absolutely amazing holiday full of love and joy and happiness. Hug your loved ones close to you, and let's hope that 2020 is our year. Thank you all for listening to me. Bye.